pet enthusiasts. Welcome to PetChat. My name is Jason Zakowski, aka Dad Guy. I'm the dog dad of Bunsen and Beaker, the science dogs, on social media. One of my co-hosts is
Chris Zakowski, aka Mummy Fave, dog mom of Bunsen and Beaker, and cat mom of Ginger.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Ginger. I like that cat. Every week on PetChat, we play games, we tell stories, and then the audience gets to come up and talk about their pets. Today we have a very special guest, Dr. Jen Golbeck from the Golden Ratio. Doc, welcome to PetChat. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Now, before we're going to do a little mini interview, and I've got some questions for you, Jen. But before we get to that, I'd love a couple things as people are joining. We always start with a Kahoot game, but the Kahoot is a trivia game, and it's normally based on things that Bunsen and Beaker have done in the week, or some science news and some dog science or cat science I've talked about during the week on social media. This Kahoot is a deep dive into the Golden Ratio stuff. So you may not know this, but there's a wiki page that I used. And I know for research, you probably shouldn't use Wikipedia, but this is the best tool I got to get all these questions. So we'd love for you to join Kahoot. And if you're on Wisdom, you can join in the title. And if anybody's on Clubhouse, it's the pinned link. Also, in the chat on the bottom right-hand side on Twitter, I'd love for you just to throw a photo of your dog. And then people can kind of look through that as we go. Oh, Chris has one of the dogs. That's super cute. And I'll put them up in the nest as we go. Look at them. That's super cute. Look at these dogs. Aw. So as we go, Chris and I can put some up in the nest and then take them down. Okay, we're going to get started with Kahoot right away. We have almost 60 people playing. That is by far the biggest Kahoot we've had. I don't know what the upper limit of Kahoot is before it just crashes and then we destroy Kahoot. So I hope that doesn't happen. Okay, 10 more seconds and then we're going to start Kahoot. And it's the link up in the nest. The first, Chris is laughing. Chris, do you know what the upper limit is on Kahoot?
I sure do not.
And I'm looking for GR Mom in there. Jen, you're in the game?
It says, I'm looking at the screen and it says, you're in.
Oh, good. Yay. Okay. 10 seconds left. I know I said 10, but we keep having people come in. We've got almost 200 people in the space. So, or 100.
I'm in too.
You don't get to play. And if you're wondering, but this is okay because you won't know the answer to any of these questions. And if you're looking in all of the leaderboard, Chris always signs in as Slim Shady. She always signs, and then I tell her she can't play our own Kahoot against people in the space. Okay, we have way more people signing in. Jen, do you mind waiting like a little bit? We've got another 20 people just signed into Kahoot. Is that okay?
No problem. Of course.
So, Florida, are you 2 hours ahead of Alberta? Are you Eastern Standard Time? So is it 8 o'clock for you about?
Yep, that's right. 8 o'clock.
Right. Okay. So, do you walk the dogs like sporadically throughout the day? Does it depend on your schedule, or do you have like a certain time you walk the dogs? Because it's getting kind of late now.
Yeah, I actually just got back. It's too hot in the middle of the day.
Oh.
Like the heat index here is just, it's so humid and hot. So we can't really be outside between like 10 a.m. and 6 p.m.
I forgot you're in Florida. I'm like talking to you from Alberta, Canada. I forgot it's like you have like palm trees outside your house in the ocean. So
yes. So I walk one dog at a time in the morning and in the evening. So I'm kind of famous in the neighborhood because people are just like, I've seen you go past like 5 times. And I was like, this is the third dog. And,
ooh, it's like a glitch in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Okay, last call for Kahoot. We got another 10 people signed in. There's 80 people total for Kahoot. I don't know what the upper limit of Kahoot is, folks. The most we've ever had on PetChat has been like 45, 50 people. But we're going to get started.
Yeah, and in the classroom, it's about 25, 30 kids max.
Yeah. Well, unless a kid hacks into it and then they sign in with 1,000 people. That happens too. Okay, here we go. The Golden Ratio Trivia. Question number one.
For this.
Question number one. This dog is convinced it's a sled dog and was sent boots by musher Blair Braverman. Chief Brody, Remy, Hopper, Venkman. Ooh, look at those answers come in. I would not get this without looking at the wiki, Jen. But that's very cool. You got sent boots from Blair?
Blair is like one of those people I've become real friends with on Twitter, and it's amazing.
We love Blair so much. She was a guest on our podcast, and she's so warm and generous, and what an awesome person.
Yeah, totally.
So the correct answer was Venkman. In first place, we have Heidi. Second place, Vivian, Ho-Ho, Destiny, and Nicole. So, Jen, you're not in the top 5. Okay.
I'm in 7th place.
Next question. Nacho took a team to get to the Keys. What was the account that tracked his movement? Where is Nacho? Nacho Watch. Nacho Watcho. Nacho Average Account. There was a Twitter account set up to track his movements because he moved from Colorado, I believe, all the way to Florida. Was one
Jason, I don't know the answer to this one. I randomly guessed at this.
Time's up.
I got it wrong.
It's Nacho Watcho.
I mean, a top-notch name for an account.
I know. I like Nacho Watch. Nacho Watch. I don't know. That Nacho Watch. Guess. I don't want to taco about it. Okay, next one. Oh, well, here's the leaderboard. We have Nikki in top, Ramona, Angel Star, Sarah 99, and CS. Question 3. This dog enjoys breaking into GR Mom's garden and placing her floofy butt on the oregano. Guac, Venkman, Hopper, Chief Brody. Look at the answers come in. Ooh, 4 seconds. You better answer, everybody.
Jason, they can't see the answers come in. For me, it says lightning smart.
It
gives me a big X.
Well, okay. Well, as the host, I can see them come in. Anyways, it's Hopper. Jen, did you get that one?
I did, though I cheated because I know that the oregano existed at the house before we got Guac and Chief Brody.
Oh, okay.
So it couldn't have been them, so I narrowed it down.
Oh, right. So by process of elimination, there was 2 dogs left. I gotcha. So first place.
I'm an expert test taker.
That's right. Remove the distractors. Nikki, Ramona, Angel Star, CS, and Mel. Okay, next question. Question 4. Who is Hopper mildly obsessed with? Now, mildly is in quotation marks. Socks, GR Dad, cheese, a rock named Dwayne Johnson. Six seconds, people. 4 seconds. You better answer. Oh no. Some people have. The correct answer is a rock named Dwayne Johnson. According to the wiki page, Hopper is overly obsessed with GR Dad. Would that be correct, Jen? I messed up on my test taking skills because I answered GR Dad without reading all the answers. After I pushed it, I was like, I bet it's Dwayne The Rock Johnson. So tell us about this rock. Tell us about, it's not actually The Rock. I mean, I wouldn't put it past you to have know the rock, but it's actually a real rock.
It's a rock that like just barely sticks out of the ocean on our shoreline, and it's got like some little seagrasses on top. And so I think it looks like alive, and she barks at it and chews on it and like circles around it.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Okay. We've got Mel in first place, CS, Tusu, Gem Vovius, and Aperdus 101. Boy, there was a big change in the score sheet there. Okay, next question. We got 2 left, folks. Voods got to be part of Team Foreign Object by eating this foreign object. Rocks. COVID mask. Sweatshirt arm. Lint roller.
This is a tough one because Voodoo actually ate all of those things.
Yes, I read the wiki. I read the wiki. It was very hilarious. Correct answer is a sweatshirt arm. Looks like most people went with that. So we have, Mel stayed up top. Mel is a super fan. This Mel person. Go Mel. CS, Gem Voivius, to Sue and Nicole. All right, last question, folks. Carrot teams are really important, as are roasted carrots. How long do you roast carrots for at 425 Fahrenheit? This is also from the wiki. 50 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, or 3 minutes. We love your carrot videos, Jen.
It's so much fun, and I think we've improved people's diets by just pushing carrots. Yeah.
It's 30 minutes. Now, don't shoot the messenger or get mad. I got that from the Golden Retriever wiki. 30 minutes. Okay, so in third place, Nikki. In second place, Gemvovius. I don't know if I'm saying that right. And in first place with CS. Congratulations, CS. There are too many people in the space for me to like scroll down to find you. So good job. Well done. And we have runners. Oh, I skipped the runners up. Sorry, there are some runners up out of there. Okay. So as we go, Chris, Chris is probably driving to get Adam. So I'll have to do double duty on putting stuff up in the nest.
Actually, I'm not. Word said he would go get it.
Oh, okay. So would you mind going through the chat? There's 50 some comments on others. I just was looking through them, and there's so many amazingly cute dogs. There are people listening on Wisdom too. Thanks. Hello. And I don't know if anybody's on the ghost house that is Clubhouse. No, nobody's on Clubhouse. Sorry, if you come into Clubhouse, I'm going to ignore you. Okay, so as we do on PetChat, we normally tell stories at this time. But our stories are going to revolve around the golden ratio. And I'm going to have a little mini interview, and then we'll open up the floor to questions. So before we get to that, we just have a couple little housekeeping things that I'd like to mention before we get to the little mini interview. And I just got to get back to my profile to get my bookmarks. And the first one is we have an amazing sponsor for this space today. And that sponsor is barkandbeyondsupply.com. Barkandbeyondsupply.com is a small family-owned business that started out making joint supplements and then started branching out into, treats and toys and all kinds of great nonsense for dogs and cats. Today, there are going to be 3 prizes that they will allot to somebody in the space. And this also goes to folks on Wisdom and any other place that's listening. Now, on Twitter, in order to be eligible to win the prize, you have to do 3 things. You have to retweet the space. So that means go into the chat and retweet the space. 2, you have to be following the Golden Ratio, us, and barkandbeyondsupply.com. So they're in the space, and I'll put up something of theirs right into the nest so you can go right to their profile to find them. And you have to be around when we make the draw at the end of the space. So thank you very much to our sponsor, barkandbeyondsupply.com. Okay. Let's chat golden ratio stuff. Jen, for people that don't know anything about what you do in your account, and I'd imagine there's people that are in the space that don't, could you tell us a little bit about what the golden ratio is?
Yeah, so we are right now 6 special needs golden retrievers. Generally, we rescue special needs golden, so complicated medical cases, hospice cases, seniors, basically the dogs that aren't generally going to get adopted by anybody else because they're complicated and expensive. And we had originally started just fostering normal dogs, and then got to seniors, and seniors tend to get sick, and so then we got good at that stuff, and then we started getting the really hard ones. So it's really rewarding, and we share them and their journeys on social media. There have been, I think, 16 golden ratio dogs total since we started the account, and so we have 6 now. This is a sort of sad side effect of taking in hospice cases we have for a couple months. But it's a way to kind of see the journey of these dogs. Many of them come from really tough backgrounds where they weren't given, love and attention and care. And we transform them and really give them these like soft, peaceful, joyful places to spend however much time they have left with us.
I get so choked up whenever you talked about this before in the last space that you were in, and I have like tears coming out the side of my eyes because it's so beautiful. Because I look at our golden Beaker and I just love her so much, and she doesn't have any real big issues. And she, from the moment she was a puppy, she was loved by us. And there's dogs out there that aren't. And the ratio takes them in and loves them. So from all dog owners, just thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you. It's so rewarding for us. Like I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, that's so great you do that. And like, obviously the dogs are happy, but it feels a little like I'm tricking people because it's so rewarding for us to get these dogs who, we often have dogs who've just been like locked in the backyard for their whole lives for, years and years, and just no attention, no love, just outside all the time. And then they come here and they don't know what the heck is going on for like a month or two. And then all of a sudden it's like, they're allowed to be a golden retriever, like a crazy, goofy, rompy dog with lots of other friends. And they just blossom into these, wonderful dogs. And we get to like watch that and kind of make that happen. And that's the best, so it's like good for them, but I also really love being able to do that. And it's really rewarding for us.
Aw. When Beaker smiles, and you've got like, there's 6 retrievers with you right now, right? That's what you said, 6?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So when our retriever smiles, Beaker, it changes your day. There's something about that golden retriever smile that there's nothing like it. There's a reason why they're called golden retrievers, because their smile is golden.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, if you ever feel stressed out in this house, like usually there's one touching you or not, you walk like 3 feet and there's one there and they're so happy that you're coming over to pet them. So it's really easy to get that positive, joyous feedback that they have.
Aw. So, Jen, could you run down the dogs that you have right now? I know the ratio fans know them off by heart, but we have some listeners in here that probably don't follow you, but they should.
So in order of tenure, we have Hopper, who is 8. We actually got her as a puppy, and she's our tripod. So she had her front leg amputated because of cancer just about a year ago, and had just adapted great to life with 3 legs. We have Vinkman, who's 7, and she and Hopper are half sisters. They have the same mom. Vinkman's like pretty stable right now, but I used to say that she cost more than some cars that I've owned. She had like 3 major orthopedic surgeries before she was a year old. She has a titanium hip, but that kind of patched her up. So that's Vinkman. And then we have Guacamole, who is around 6. And he was just kind of left at a shelter. He's our healthiest dog, definitely. Chief Brody, who is 12. He's named after the police officer in Jaws. He has really serious allergies, and he spent like 5 years in the cone of shame at his previous house.
Oh, just because he kept getting hot spots or something, Jen?
He was so itchy, and they wouldn't, it's mostly food allergies, and they just wouldn't control what he ate. So they just put the cone on him, and I guess his skin was all infected, and he smelled bad, so no one would pet him. And he's lost about 50 pounds since we've had him, so he was really hugely overweight because they just kind of chuck food at him. So we have really turned him around. He's our old man, but he's, we did a year of allergy shots, and he's totally fine now. So that's him. We got Guac and Chief Brody in February of 2020, right before lockdown. So they're our kind of pandemic babies. And then we have Remy, who is around 6. And he's one of those backyard dogs. He was just kept on a chain his whole life in a backyard. We got him last July. His owners just brought him into the vet to have him put down because he went blind from what turns out to be diabetes, but he had never been to the vet, so they didn't know. So the vet said no, they wouldn't put him down.
Oh yeah.
And we got him, and he was quite a project to rehab, to kind of get him healthy. You know, he had all of these tick-borne diseases from living outside all the time, a lot of behavioral issues because he'd just been on a chain, and then the diabetes and the blindness from that. And then we just found out, like in the last probably 6 weeks, we've been dealing with a lymphoma diagnosis for him. So we just kind of got him stable with all the other stuff. And then it turns out that he has cancer. But the thing we haven't even told the golden ratio followers is that we talked to our vet today, and it looks like he has a very slow progressing form of lymphoma. That means he could actually live a normal lifespan without chemo or anything.
Oh,
so,
yay.
Yeah. So that's like, you know, cancer is not good. But
No,
maybe
it's not.
a good kind if you have to deal with it.
Yeah. If it's that slow, something else might be the end of the dog's life, which is you can't hope for anything more.
Yeah. That's exactly right. It sounds, from the reading I've been doing today, it sounds like a lot of the dogs with this particular variety often die of other things because they just something gets
they outlive the cancer. Go dogs.
Yeah. So that's Remy, and then Nacho is our newest one.
Nacho!
The quiz. Yep. Nacho came from Idaho. He's a year and a half. So a puppy, we never get puppies, and it's quite a lot of energy, as I'm sure you know.
Yes.
But he is also one whose owners brought him to the vet to have him put down. He has like some mild allergies, and he does have a knee injury that probably will need surgery down the road. But there's kind of not much wrong with him.
Oh my goodness.
And we've had him since June, I think. So a couple months. And I think he probably was just way more than his people could handle.
Yeah.
Like golden retrievers stay puppies until they're like 3 years old. And they bounce off the walls and are just sort of
yes, they do.
He has given me, I've got a splinted finger and a messed up arm from trying to walk him.
Oh, because does he have a prey drive, Jen?
Oh,
huge,
yes.
right? Oh, like Beaker.
Little tiny lizards here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we get all kinds of lizards, but there's hundreds of them, right? You walk down the street and, it's like ants in other places. And he tries to catch every single one of those lizards and just pulls me all over the place. So I'm a, relatively young, healthy, strong, athletic person, and he's messed me up. So I can, not that bringing him to the vet to have him put down is good, but I can see how if you are a more frail person to just be like, there is no way I could live with this dog. And I'm overwhelmed by everything. And so these kind of minor health things are just part of an otherwise overwhelming picture. I have a little bit of empathy, for how people get overwhelmed in those situations. So anyway, he's our newest and youngest member, bringing a lot of new energy to the household. But he's a good time. And, I think he's going to be healthy and a dog that we get to have for a really long time, which is nice.
Shout out to the herd, because I believe they got Nacho and then started with you the process to get Nacho to the Keys.
Yes, they did amazing work, and they're kind of like us in Idaho, where it's like the vet's like, "Uh-oh, we got this dog. Call the herd." They'll figure it out.
Oh, I love it. I'm enthralled by that rundown. What a great rundown of your dogs, Jen. I love it.
We are so lucky to have them.
Oh, I know. Well, I could talk about Bunsen and Beaker for literally days. I could talk about them, and there's only two of them. So do all the dogs get along, or does it take a bit of time? Like if we got a third dog, which people want us to get, like let's say a Newfie puppy, as I don't know if Chris is listening, there would be an adjustment stage. Do your dogs go through that as new dogs come in?
Normally, we've got a pretty high barrier that they have to cross for getting along because, most of the dogs here, I gave you their laundry list of problems. They come from kind of neglectful backgrounds a lot of the time. And so they're anxious, right? our house is very calm, but it's easy to upset them. And so it's really important to us that we don't introduce a dog who's going to cause a lot of problems, because then all the dogs get freaked out.
Right. Okay.
And we humans get freaked out.
Yeah.
Remy was really the exception to that. He had a lot of anxious behaviors that put everybody else on edge, and we ended up having to keep him separated from the rest of the squad. He was not fixed when we got him, which of course, makes him more of a jerk.
Yeah.
The testosterone. And that took a while. So we probably had to, for 3 months, keep him in a separate room, and he would bark, and it was very stressful for everyone. We actually asked the rescue to try to find a different foster, and no one wanted him, which I remind him of all the time. Like, no one else wanted you, so you should be grateful that you're still with us. But he has grown into a great dog. Normally, though, everybody settles in pretty quickly when they come in from foster. They'll be freaked out for a couple weeks, but get along. And there's only one other dog where they kind of had some aggression problems with our squad, the rescue then moved to another foster who loved him and kept him and adopted him permanently, and it all worked out great.
Yeah, and imagine that's something that not a lot of people think of, is when you have that many dogs, it's, if something comes in and it's not the right personality, it's almost like throwing a bowling, like a billiard ball at a bunch of balls that are somewhat stable. It sends everything into motion. So I was wondering if that was the case, that not all dogs are a good fit for you guys, and that makes total sense, right? You have to protect the dogs that you have and their mental health.
For sure. And it's a thing with kind of everything in life, certainly with other dogs coming in, but like we have people who are like, hey, can I stay with you? And it's like, nope. Like, we have 6 dogs. And I try to be like, you won't be able to sleep because they get up in the middle of the night. And sometimes people are like, I don't care. And it's like, okay, but also you're going to screw everything up if you're in this house. Like, they need their routine and their calm. And it takes a lot to manage a squad that big and keep everybody happy.
So do the names of the dogs come with them, or do you rename them when they come?
It's about half and half.
Okay.
So Remy was Remy. He was Remington before, and we changed it to Remoulade, but we call him Remy all the time anyway. Guac didn't have a name because he was just dropped at a shelter. So we had just lost a dog named Queso, I think a week or two before. And so we kind of named him Guacamole in honor of Queso. But for a lot of the dogs, we want to give them like a fresh start name, but we don't want it to confuse them. So Chief Brody was named Cody before.
That's a good pick.
Right. So we'll kind of find rhyming names. Voodoo, who we lost in May, he was named Boo Boo before. I hate that name so much, but Voodoo sounds just like it. So it's like they can't really tell the difference, but we get to kind of put our own spin on it. So most of the time we try to pick a similar sounding name, then sometimes we just pick random cheeses and name them after that. We've had a queso, a Parmesan, a Manchego, and then,
Well, and Nacho fits because you can put cheese on nachos.
That's his middle name.
Oh,
his
I missed that.
Middle name is Cheese.
Oh,
yeah, Nacho Cheese.
Nacho Cheese. Okay, are you guys Ghostbuster fans with Venkman?
Yes, I was like a very little kid when Ghostbusters came out, and somehow I got to see it, and it had this profound impact on like baby Jen. And when I was going through names, it was like, Hopper's named after a scientist. And then I was like, all right, what am I going to name this new dog? And I was going through stuff I like, and I was like, Venkman from Ghostbusters. And it just makes me laugh every time that she's named that. And it's still, now 7 years later. So absolutely Ghostbusters reference.
I'm part of a social audio team called the Conversationalists. And one of our episodes that we did was all about movies. And the 2 movies that like made me the person that I am today, one was Ghostbusters. Because the scientists were the heroes. And I was like, oh man, scientists are the heroes. I want to be. So I totally get you there. I love that movie. I could watch that movie over and over and over again. I am partial to Egon though. That's the only thing.
Same, but it's just not as fun a name as Venkman.
It is not. No. So a couple things about you, Jen. We talked about your dogs. You are Dr. Jen Golbeck. Could you tell everybody a little bit about what your doctorate's in? Because it's actually fascinating. There's like there's so many fascinating things about the ratio, and just you yourself as a scientist is super cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a PhD in computer science, and I'm a professor at the University of Maryland. I do research on social media. And so I study basically how to build artificial intelligence algorithms that use the data from social media to help you find stuff you care about better, essentially, which used to be like such a great idea and has become very creepy.
It's the worst for some people, for sure.
Yeah, me included. And so probably half of my life now is really focused on privacy and kind of defeating a lot of these algorithms. And I do a lot of privacy advocacy work because like we need this kind of technology for all sorts of things. Like the web would not be usable without many of these algorithms. But they are also, you know, there's this whole surveillance capitalism infrastructure that's just super exploitative that doesn't need to be there for us to do what we want to do. So I spend a lot of time trying to make things a little more sane in that space.
I hear you there for sure. I make a joke to my high school students, like if I'm on TikTok, for example, and you like the wrong video a couple times, like I'll be like, or you watch a video for too long, like, ooh, it's a botfly removal. That's gross. And then you watch that video and the next one is like somebody popping a pimple. And then for the rest of the week, that's all TikTok wants to show you is botfly removals. And somebody like has a giant, like, you know, boil that they're popping. And I'm like, this is not, get back to the dogs and cats and stuff, TikTok.
I'm laughing because I've ended up in that corner.
Oh, you have? Oh,
on occasion. Yeah. And then it's like, I got to go like search for other stuff and like it to get out of like gross TikTok.
Yeah. I watched this like jacked guy do a squat and I was like, whoa, this guy's squatting so much weight. And then the whole week was just like buff people doing squats. And I'm like, this is, thank you, TikTok. Thank you for that.
Yep.
And you've been on television with your, not the golden ratio, but your job as a computer scientist. What have you talked about on the news?
Yeah. So part of my work, the non-technical way I describe it is keeping track of bad stuff people do on the internet. So I, part of, you can imagine how work on artificial intelligence and helping you find good stuff also means being able to identify the bad stuff and filter that out. And so a lot of my research has been on like bots and misinformation and harassment and extremist groups. So I spend a lot of time kind of essentially spying on those spaces, right? On Nazis and all of the bad people that you hear about online.
Well, they're terrible. Somebody needs to spy on them, Jen.
Yeah. And why not me? I know
well, thank you for taking one for the team. That's a rough job.
It really is. It's very hard, especially because, and we will not get into details on this, but sometimes like stuff just pops up there that's more upsetting than the normal stuff, right? So it's like, okay, there's a lot of racism and sexism and terrible stuff, but then there'll be like some really terrible stuff that gets thrown in there on occasion. And that's really hard. It's the kind of thing that I see a therapist for sometimes because it's just like, didn't want to see it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but it's part of that in the last couple of years has been looking at like QAnon and the alt-right and all these groups that we're hearing about now with respect to the insurrection here in the U.S. And so when all that was happening, I pretty regularly would go on the news to be like the reporter from inside, the all those bad places and tell people what they're talking about.
Okay. Well, it's a good thing you have golden retrievers to surround yourself with, because that would be like emotionally draining all day long sometimes. So
it's an important antidote.
Yeah. Thank you. The last thing I wanted to ask you, and if you're just joining us, if you're like, why are there hundreds of people in this space? My name is Jason Zakowski. I'm the dog dad of Bunsen and Beaker, the science dogs on social media. And this is Pet Chat. Normally we tell stories about Bunsen and Beaker, but we have an awesome guest today. Dr. Jen Golbeck from the Golden Ratio is our guest. My last question for you, Jen, is you are a superhuman runner. The amount of and the distances you run is bananas. And so many people have so much respect for you. Could you tell everybody a little bit about your running? Like, why do you run? How far do you run? Which dogs go with you?
Yeah, that's so funny. I run ultra marathon, so that's anything longer than a marathon. So marathon's 26.2 miles or 42.2 kilometers. So anything longer than that is an ultra marathon.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So the longest race I've run is 100 miles. That's all at once. You just start in the morning and then you run in. It took me like a day and a half. Like the sun came up twice. The sun went down almost the second time. You have to eat while you're running. You kind of sleep while you're running a little bit. I hallucinated all kinds of crazy stuff on the second day, dinosaurs and tigers and like just a pair of legs once. There was nothing above the knee.
Where did you see the dinosaurs? Okay, tell me, you hallucinated dinosaurs? Were they chasing you? Were they running with you? Like, did you see them off in the distance? Sorry, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's a fun story. So this is really common. Most people who run, anything longer than 50 miles will have these hallucination experiences. And this race I ran was kind of through the woods in Pensacola, Florida. And the kind of scientific explanation or I guess description is that there would be, say there's like a bunch of pine needles on the ground, and I would look at it and my brain would start putting them together into patterns, right? Like you kind of see stuff in the clouds. I was sort of seeing stuff in everything. And so I'd look into the woods and it's like a bunch of branches and forest. And my brain would think there was a dinosaur in there, or there was a house, or like a giant robot kind of just standing off the trail in the woods. Yeah, it was wild. I mean, I knew that it wasn't really there, but I would look and I'd be like, I know there's not a dinosaur there, but I'm looking at it and it sure looks like there's a dinosaur over there. Yeah, so that's the only time I've run 100 miles once, but I've run a lot of races, 50 miles, 100K. Yeah, so I run a lot. It's good for my mental health. And I tell people, like, they say like run for your mental health. It's good. And so the challenges to my mental health must be quite extreme for me to go then run 100 miles all at once.
If I knock off 5 miles on a treadmill, I'm like, woo, that I did something today and this is, so congratulations on that. Obviously you don't take a dog on that kind of like huge distances, but do you run with some of the healthier dogs?
Yeah, I used to run with Hopper all the time, and she would go do 5K with me every day. And when she started slowing down, she had to give it up. Guac used to run with me for a while, and then he ate a Brillo pad one day just off the counter, and had to have surgery to remove that, and never has wanted to run very far after that surgery. So I'm guessing, just something feels weird. So the way I do it now, like my average morning, I'll just go run 5K, and I'll sometimes do the dog round robin. So I'll take Nacho for like a mile and a half, and then I'll take Guac for a mile, and then I'll take Vink for a mile. So the neighbors think I'm crazy because it's just one dog after another, but I can get in, 3 or 4 miles, just bringing everybody out for a little bit.
I love that. Do your neighbors talk to you? Like, do they know who you are? Or there's like, who is that lady? And do they talk about you at Thanksgiving or something? Like I don't know. We don't have neighbors. Like, we live on a farm in the middle of nowhere in Alberta, Canada. So like weird stuff that I do outside, nobody ever notices.
I mean, the thing about the Key, we live in the Florida Keys. It's very remote. So the Florida Keys, for people who don't know the geography, it's a chain of islands. There's one road that goes from like the bottom of Florida down to Key West, and it's about 120 miles total. And we live towards the bottom. So, we like to say that we're closer to Havana, Cuba than we are to a Walmart, for example. We're just really isolated from the rest of the world, and there's not many people here. So everybody knows who I am because they see me running like along the one road, which everybody has to take to get somewhere. And it's like, there's that girl in the skirt with the pink backpack, like running in the middle of nowhere again. So yeah, people I don't know are like, hey, you're that one who runs all the time. So everybody knows. But they don't all understand it, but they all seem pretty supportive.
Oh, that's great.
That's nice. Yeah.
One more thing I thought I should mention, you guys, you have a stuffed animal. I'm just going through your profile. It's of Hopper, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I put that up in the nest. Super adorable. It's a little Hopper.
It's so fun. Like, I think we're eventually going to do one of all the dogs, but we started with Hopper. It's got a little amputated front leg and a heart embroidered where the leg was. And yeah, they're going to ship for everybody before Christmas. And I think there's like 5 days left to order them. So, if you have an amputee dog or person in your life who would like a matching, plushy Hops, that's where you can get one.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, we made, we have stuffed animals of Bunsen. They sold out, but Bunsen 2.0 is coming, and we have the Beaker stuffy. Yeah, we have the Beaker stuffy, and it was really fun designing them because we had to like, the company did such a good job with their artists to make Beaker look like she has her like unimpressed Beaker face on. Cause most of the time, unless she's happy, she's got like this, we call it the RBF, the resting Beaker face. And then Bunsen stuff, he has this giant, huge tongue because he's always smiling. So I'd imagine you had some input with the artists for Hopper, hey, especially with the amputated leg.
We did. I mean, we probably did 10 rounds of like digital
back
stuff,
and forth, yeah.
And then, and then they made, I think 4 or 5 like, real prototypes that we saw pictures of.
Yep.
It was a really fun process.
Yeah, we loved it with ours too. Super cute. Well, Jen, can we take some questions from the audience about the golden ratio? We have some people lined up already. Now, this is going to be, we've got lots of people. So a couple things. To get to the stage, there's a couple things that need to happen. One, now, Jen, you are also a co-host, so you can see people who are requesting, and I might ask you if you know them or if they're following you, because we don't want to have any trolls come up to the stage. So if I don't recognize the account, you may not get up to the stage to ask a question. And because this is a really big space, let's keep our questions short, and not do like a big monologue. We'll save that for when Dr. Golbeck isn't here anymore. You can monologue with us when we get to the family section, and talk about our pets from our family. So, okay. So I don't know if Chris, if you're available, I'm
available.
Okay. Do you know who requested first? I'm thinking
yes,
Howie did. Okay. So we'll bring up like 2 or 3 people at a time. I think Howie and then Andre and then I believe Sarah. Okay. And then don't worry, we'll get to folk as you come up. So
Howie, Andrew.
Yeah, Howie. It's Andrew, not Andre. Howie, go ahead. Do you have a question for the golden ratio?
Wow, I'm honored to be the first question. I was thinking, like, good grief, I haven't had time to think of one now. Pressure. I guess. I'll just first off, just thank you for what you do and for the dogs and such. I'm team cat feline, as I've said before on this. I'm not saying you guys should get a cat. Yes, you should. But 2 things. One, what's your relationship with like all the pages that I guess we'll call them the GR fan club that goes? There's like one for like. There's one for like Mood Foods. I think even like St. Patrick had one for his paws. What's that relationship like that you have with them? And I guess the second one is, as for source information, since I'm also a social sciences teacher, do you have any articles that you would suggest for someone to read to help students be able to interpret sources on the internet to help look for valid news sources to help out.
Ooh, good.
A funny one and a serious one. You can take whichever one you want.
Good questions.
Yeah, those are great questions. So just first note, I'm deathly allergic to cats, so there will never be a cat in the GR household.
Sad, but okay.
We love all the fan accounts. There are so many of them, and we talk about them all the time, like me and Ingo G, our dad. We have a really fun time. We think they're hilarious. They make us very happy. So, yes, so we think that they're great. And then in terms of your serious question, a fun thing about the university department that I'm in now is that it's also, in addition to doing all this like data science and computational stuff, it's also the school where we offer library science degrees. Like we train librarians, and they are amazing. Like, I have been to the library obviously before, but before I got this job, like had not really taken advantage of the services that librarians offer other than like checking out books. And it's really incredible, the stuff that libraries can offer in terms of like helping people find those sorts of sources. And so I think it's like training students on understanding the resources that are available from librarians beyond just like there's books here and like they'll help you check stuff out, but like the real important ways that they can help you find great sources of information for what you're looking for. That's a thing that I'd like to see, incorporated in with all of the like information literacy stuff that we are really training students to do now.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you for all that you do for helping those wonderful golden retrievers that bring joy to so many, even if it's in awkward, zany comedy, need a sitcom type routine.
Thanks.
Thanks, Howie. Andrew, over to you.
Thanks. Yeah. When I jumped in, I got into the part about the ultra marathon. My primary care physician, an internist, I started going to her about 10 years ago. And my first appointment with her, she had just run the Boston Marathon. And a couple of months ago, I had, routine appointment with her. And she had just finished her 14th ultra 100 mile, So it's like really embarrassing to be her patient, So I know she just ran this ultra and she came right back to work. And here I am sitting in the exam room and she walks in and she looks at me and she says, "How are you?" I looked at her and I said, "How are you?" And then she spent I just started asking her questions, how she rebounds from these races. And she's pretty much got it down to a science now of things she does to get back. And I mean, just jumping back into work, it's unbelievable. Very embarrassing to be your patient, though. Thanks.
Thanks, Andrew. Okay, over to there wasn't any follow-up there. It was just a fun story. I think over to Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Oh, hello.
Hi, sorry.
Nope.
Hear me? I just put in my headphones. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead, Sarah. Good to see you.
Okay. Oh, thank you. Hi. I hadn't followed before, and maybe you went over this earlier. I was having some technical difficulties, but how did you get started fostering the special needs Goldens? And is it only Goldens that you take? And is there a reason for that?
We didn't really go over that. It's a great question. And especially if other people are thinking maybe about doing some of this. So I had 2 dogs who got old and died. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll, wait a year before I get another dog. And then literally when I was leaving the vet from putting the second one down, I was like, I cannot have my house without a dog. And I had applied to our Golden Retriever rescue group to adopt. But for anyone who's tried to do that knows that there can be a very long wait to kind of find a dog that matches with you. So I ended up getting Hopper as a puppy and then getting my home visit to get approved to adopt a dog from the rescue. And the person doing the home visit was like, you seem like you'd be really good to foster dogs. And I was like, sure, like, let's try it. And really loved it. I fostered about 20 or 25 dogs. Didn't really keep any of them. Like, there were a couple that came in that were in very bad shape and were basically hospice cases, but mostly like young, healthy dogs, get them settled in, find a great home for them, adopt them out. But I really liked seniors. And so eventually they started giving us seniors, and because they had complex medical issues, you know, we would handle those. And the rescue figured out that, like, this Jen person is really good at dealing with complex medical stuff with the dogs. And so then they started being like, well, you know, we've got this one who has this problem, or we've got this old one who has this like giant tumor, and do you mind taking care of them? And we just said yes to everything. And so we became one of, you know, 3 or 4 specialized fosters who they knew they could send these very complicated, difficult medical dogs to, and that we would be able to take care of them. And there's not a lot of people in any rescue group that are, you know, kind of willing and able to do that. And so it became like the kinds of dogs that we got. We generally only take Goldens. Just, you know, I grew up with Goldens and I really love them. And it's a Golden Retriever rescue group that we work with. That said, we did have St. Patrick, who was with us for a little while, who was a Labradoodle, and he kind of snuck in under the radar. And he was such a good boy. So, you know, we generally, you know, if someone were like, oh, we've got a similar-ish kind of dog, I'd be like, sure, of course, like, send them over. But Goldens are just happy and like goofy, and really, you know, I love everything about their temperament. So that's generally why we're in that space.
Thank you. Thank you for what you do. I think it's important, and just remind people to adopt, don't shop. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. All right. Okay. Speaking of buff people who squat, we've got John over here. John, you're up, and then we'll go to Tracy and then Ashley. Hey, John, how's it going?
Hey, John.
I am not too great. It was a low of 7 in Winnipeg today, so
it's frosty out here too, buddy.
Yeah, it's summer is apparently over. Well, Bone and Bailey are loving it, but the humans out here, and Jen, I don't know what the temps down there, but I'm assuming it's a hotter than today here.
I got to do the Fahrenheit to Celsius conversion. The heat index was 108 today Fahrenheit.
Jeez.
40 Celsius, maybe. It's
like 44.
Real hot.
Yeah.
44. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's too hot actually. So I won't complain. My question is, Jen, with how much I know you do, how much I know you do, like with work, with running and everything, how do you keep your house clean? Because I have Bone and Bailey who shed like nonstop. It gets insane. And there's just hair everywhere constantly. I can never keep my house clean. And I don't do like half the stuff you do. So like, how do you keep your house clean of like dog hair? Because it's wild to me.
All right. So I have a plan and a trick. The plan is Ingo, my husband Ingo, like his self-soothing comes from cleaning the house. So he vacuums almost every day, and he does all the dishes and the laundry. This is great. So it takes care of a lot of it. There is a lot of vacuuming necessary. But yes. Oh, I am so lucky. The trick is we have Golden Retriever colored rugs. So we can go a couple days and it looks like our house is clean, especially on video, but it's just because the fur and the rugs are the same color. So if you think, John, maybe get some, well, I was gonna say get some white rugs, but that's a whole other problem. But
Muddy
like,
footprints would,
more, yeah. Like light brown rugs have really been our salvation, because you can't see how messy it gets sometimes.
I need to find a partner, I think, that will help me just keep the house clean. I think that's the goal here. That's the only solution.
It really has to be like a 2-person thing. When we were living up in Maryland, and now we're both kind of working at home, and so it's a little easier. But when we were both kind of out of the house all the time, I eventually broke down and had cleaners come, and I'm embarrassed for what they must have thought of my house with all that fur everywhere. But it was like so worth it once a week to just come home to like everything deeply cleaned, and then just kind of do a little maintenance on top of that.
Hey listeners, this is Jonathan Cormer, and I'm Sir Reginald T. Hedgehog. We're from Dorktale Storytime, a podcast for kids and their pop culture loving grown-ups. We tell fractured fairy tales with a geekish twist, hidden hero histories, and world-building lore stories. So come on down to Once Upon a Time to laugh, learn, and delight in a tale well told. Find us at dorktalestorytime.com.
There you go. I don't think a Furbo would cut it. I think the Furbo, you would need to be the size of a Zamboni in our house.
Yeah.
Like the Roomba, Jason, the Roomba.
What did I say? What did I call it?
Furbo.
Oh, the Furbo. Oh, that's wrong.
Like
the Zoom. What is it?
It's like the dog.
Oh yeah, I got it mixed up. The Roomba.
Roomba.
I hated that thing. It was constantly getting jammed with dog hair, and I had to flip it over and like unclog it. I'm like, why am I doing this? It's supposed to make my life easier. So
we killed several Roombas, but the thing that made me ultimately give it up is that a dog had a major accident in the house one time, and the Roomba just dragged that all over the place.
Oh no, I've heard stories of that happen to you guys.
Happened. It did. And it's all up in the gears and the wheels. It was so not only the mess spread all over, but the Roomba was trashed because it was a mess.
Oh, I would throw it into the sun. I wouldn't be cleaning that.
We did.
Okay, I would just put it on the next rocket to outer space, and that's done. Thanks, John. Appreciate you being here. Okay, we're going to go to Tracy and then Ashley, and then I'm going to have to move some speakers around. We have so many people requesting to speak. Doc, how long do you have? I don't want to keep you here all night. Do you have another half an hour, 20 minutes? You got to go right away? Oh. We lost your audio signal. Oh,
hey,
hi.
I'm back. I don't know what just happened. Yeah, I've got as much time as you need.
Oh, you do? Okay. Wow. Mm-hmm. All right. That's super generous of you. Thank you. Tracy, then Ashley. Go ahead, Tracy.
Hi. So just a quick comment. I also get my house cleaned, mostly because my vision is not great. So it's better if somebody else helps me out. But I just have a short hair cat, and I do it. So I would definitely do it if I had multiple dogs. But I wanted to know, if you have any tips for telling the dogs apart, because I am I've kind of commented this before, more recent follower. So I'm just like, oh, there's a bunch of golden retrievers. And then I think I know their names. And then, nope, that's not the one you're thinking of.
Well, so they're divisible into 3 groups. Chief Brody is the only white one, so he's really easy to tell. And then there's 2 blonde ones and 3 brown ones. The 2 blonde ones are Hopper and Venkman, and Hopper is missing a leg. So it's really easy to tell them apart now, too. It used to be very hard, but now it's pretty easy. Look for the one missing a leg. The 3 brown boys are very hard to tell apart. So that's Nacho, Guacamole, and Remy. Nacho has a white butt, like a white-tailed deer. Like if you can see him from behind, it's all white back there. And he's got like a big square head. Guac has like a more sort of narrow head. And if you can see his eyes, he has like golden magical eyes. Everybody else has brown eyes, but he's got these very golden eyes. Remy's the one who's running into stuff because he's mostly blind still. But he's a little kind of curlier. He's got a very luxurious coat. But we sometimes have to go like, wait, which one is that? From they are definitely tricky to tell apart.
Oh my goodness, it's like all of my nieces and nephews together. I'm like, which one are you? Yeah. Who are you?
Thank you. I'll probably have to like write this down so I can like watch the videos and be like, oh, I can point out these dogs now.
Yeah.
My heart dog, Callan, the golden that we had before Bunsen, she was she was copper. She was like a redhead. She was like brownie red. She was gorgeous. So I get the color differences that you were talking about. You can tell the Goldens apart by their coat color. Oh, yeah. Super cute. Okay, over to Ashley, and then we're going to bring up some new speakers and maybe move some folks down. Hi, Ashley.
Hi.
Great to hear you again.
Great to hear you again as well. Dr. Golbeck, I wanted to ask, I'm a sixth-year PhD student in chemistry, and I'm working on writing my first author paper. So I just wanted to know if you had any advice to get going with that and really kick myself into high gear.
Oh, congratulations. That's so exciting. So my personal process when I'm working on papers like that, I love like a bullet point outline. It's just like a way, like I sometimes find I have trouble starting because I'm kind of overwhelmed with like all the ideas and stuff that I want to get in there. And a way that like I just kind of generally work in life is that if I just open up a document with like bullet points and can kind of indent and outline that way and just get like the sections, and it's like really rough, like, okay, I'm doing like the literature review section, like just list the main points or like the papers I want in there and like vaguely get all that ideas out into like a lightly organized form. It makes it way easier for me to then go in and kind of like fill it in and turn it into proper sections. So I don't know if that's like the space you're getting stuck on, like getting started with it, but I find then I feel like I've kind of got it done already because like the structure is there and I just have to fill the parts in. So I don't know if that helps you, but it really helps me.
No, that sounds really, really helpful. Thank you. That's for me, I see all the options I can go with, and that's where I get stuck because like, oh, I could arrange this figure this way or this way. So that's very helpful. Totally. Thank you so much.
Congrats. That sounds really exciting.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. Ashley was a guest on the Science Podcast. Ashley, I'm going to have to call you Doc pretty soon. That's so exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you. One can hope.
Oh, you're almost there. Keep going. Okay, over to CJ, Donna, and then Bergen. CJ, hi. Do you got a question for Dr. Golbeck?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much. So, Dr. Golbeck, I was listening to the podcast that you guys put out the other day, Thursday, and you mentioned that you like to airdrop Ingo pictures, but also you'll do it randomly at the airport.
Yes.
And I actually had to go to the emergency room last month and was doing that in the emergency room while I was waiting to be seen by the doctor. But just with like the privacy and stuff like that, is it safe to do that? I like to use, like I was sending people either pictures of my pets or InspiroBot memes, which is an AI generated random motivational poster creator.
I love the InspiroBot memes. I use those posters in my talks a lot of the time as like examples of AI kind of being dumb, but also very clever. Generally, like there's probably ways that people could send you something malicious. But if you're sending there's probably some clever hacker who could figure out something to do with that. But generally, there's not a lot of risk in just airdropping a file to someone in terms of like, are they going to get access to your system? Like none of that's the case. Accepting stuff from other people, like I guess there's always a risk that they could send you some file that's infected. So, be careful about accepting. That said, I totally do it if randomly airdrop me photos. I'm always like too curious to be cautious with it. And I want to see like what people are sending me. But certainly if you're dropping photos of your pictures to people from like a cybersecurity perspective, I don't think there's too much risk there.
Thank you. I'd also just like to say that today is my birthday and no one got me a Golden Ratio cameo. So I'm disappointed, but maybe next year.
Oh, well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
It's your birthday, so we wish all the very best to you. Happy birthday!
There we go. Gotcha, CJ. I knew I loaded that on my soundboard for a reason.
That's nice.
When I took our high school kids to Banfield, which is the marine biology station on the westernmost side of Vancouver Island, when we were in the little tiny airport, they were airdropping llamas to anybody that didn't have their iPhone set to contacts only. And I was like, guys, stop that. And they're like, but it's llamas. And I would watch like this older couple be perplexed because llamas kept showing up on their phone. And they're like, are you sending me this photo? And the other guy was the husband was like, I don't even know how to turn this on. Like they were just arguing about the llamas. I was like, okay, you're making this. They're probably on like their 50th wedding anniversary. Stop that nonsense. So
Jason,
I love this kind of chaos.
That's funny, but Jason actually starts it. Like he would ride the bus with the kids and airdrop pictures to them
of llamas.
Jason, you are the instigator, and the kids were just mimicking you.
Yeah. Sometimes Adam's like Adam is our son, and he'll like text me. He's like, could you take a picture of my like band form? I need it to go on a field trip. And then I'll just send him a picture of a llama instead of the photo of his farm. I deserve probably some karma coming my way. Okay, CJ, thank you so much for that. We'll go to Dawn. It was Donna and then Bergen. Donna, hi.
Yeah.
Hi, guys. So, Jason, as you know, I'm going to be climbing Machu Picchu in November with a llama and alpaca. So I'm going to send you a picture.
Alpacas are so cute.
Oh, my God. Totally. But Dr. Jen, I follow every account of yours. And I love how much you share with everybody, not just about the dogs, but personal struggles or personal life or your cocktails, because I've drank plenty of them. But I do want to give you some kudos and put this to rest once and for all. Your snaps are awesome. Okay. So I love the songs, the ukulele, all that. Ingo's is great if you've got about 10 minutes, but yours are awesome. And I love the live streams when all hell is breaking loose in the world. So it's been great. So this is a love fest for you. I only have one question. I cry big, ugly crocodile tears every time you guys lose a dog. Does it help when everybody's grieving with you? And how do you deal with that so publicly and so eloquently?
Oh, thank you. I mean, it's, we've lost 10 dogs, I think, kind of since 2017, which is when the first original member of the ratio left us. And, it's so hard. And I think anybody who's lost a pet that they have really loved knows that it feels like such a huge thing. It's such a huge loss. And the world doesn't really treat it that way. Like if your mom dies, if somebody that you love dies, people understand that that's a big deal. Your dog dies and you don't kind of get that. And there's none of these kind of social rituals around it. So it just feels like this giant thing that you have to deal with. And there's nothing out there to help you deal with it. Except for us, that's not the case. For us, it's 100,000 people all kind of mourning along with us and really feeling the loss of these dogs that I think you all get to know pretty intimately through what we share. And it's a huge comfort to us that, it's not just us grieving really deeply for this loss. It's that a lot of other people feel this pain. And I think I've said this, in other forums. It's like, that's how big a deal it is. And that's how it feels like that big a deal. And nobody gets their loss treated like as big a deal as it is, except for us,
except for pet people.
And then people who are famous on social media, I think, like pet people will understand, but how many of us are fortunate enough to get tens or hundreds of thousands of people saying, yeah, this is a big deal. Like that's a big comfort to have it treated at that magnitude. And we're in a really privileged position to get that from people. So it helps us so much that everybody else kind of feels it along with us.
That's awesome. And I'm going to do the Voods challenge, and I may go 2 miles and lay down. So I'm super excited to see all the pictures from that. And good luck in London. We'll be cheering you on.
Thank you. The Voodoo Challenge, for those who don't listen, we're doing a virtual race at the beginning of October. Where you can run 5K or as far as you want in 6 hours, or do the Voodoo Challenge named after our dog Voodoo, where you just walk partway down the block, lay down, and
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Queens on the Road podcast. This is Latavia here. This podcast was created to educate and inspire people about the ably different community who are on the move. So come roll with us. We educate and have a little fun too. Is that I have something that is called a helix vulgus, which is like a bunion that people with CP get on their feet.
Putting me on the spot.
Yes, I'm quizzing you now. What is my favorite movie? I'm putting this friendship to the test.
Oh, we lost you. Walk down the block and lay down and refuse to move? Yeah.
Yes, because that's what Voodoo would do when we tried to walk him.
Oh, I know it is tough for people that don't have pets when you lose one to kind of explain the grief. So that was a great question, Donna. My heart was shattered into 100,000 pieces when our Golden, before Bunsen died. It was as deep a loss as I like. My mom recently died, and that was shattering too. But I mean, you can't compare a dog to a human, but it was like the grief was very similar. So, yeah, great question.
And I'm sorry about your mom, Jason. I saw that, and I'm really sorry, but I think you're right. It's like we have different relationships with them, but the grief can be huge for losing a dog as much as with a person. Oh, I was a wreck for months after Callan died, and I can't imagine you guys losing the dogs that you have. Like, you're just such strong, amazing people, I think. And you're right. Like Chris and I grieve with you when the photo comes up, when one of the Goldens is, dies. So thank you for sharing that, because all of the pet people go through that. And I think they see that love of dogs is so palpable. Like it's just there. So I didn't mean to bring the space down. I'm sorry about that, but it's really important to talk about how much we love dogs sometimes. And absolutely.
And cats and other pets, maybe not snakes. Over to Bergen.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Hey. Okay, so totally almost teared up from talking about the there but not there dogs. I lost my own back in 2020, and Voods of the Golden Ratio was probably the hardest one for me personally because I love that dog so much. Weirdly, though, it does kind of help me segue into my question. Jim might know from our kind of sporadic Instagram convo, but back in February, I got a puppy, an Augie, which means his dad is a toy Australian Shepherd, and his mom is a Corgi. His name's Riot. He's almost 9 months old, and he is a handful. He is very much a handful. It had been like 11 years since I had had a puppy, and I guess I must have forgotten how much work they are. And it really makes me wonder, Jen, I know Nacho is on the younger side, but would y'all ever get like an 8-week-old puppy again?
Oh my God, no.
I would in a second.
If they, at least with Nacho, he was housebroken. And we sometimes get, adult dogs who are not housebroken, who have been like breeder dogs or kept outside. But you can housebreak an adult dog in a day or two. Like, it's very easy. But oh my God, housebreaking a puppy, like an 8-week-old, I suck at it. It feels like it's interminable, and my house is going to smell like pee for the rest of my life, and it's very bad for my mental health. So, if there were an 8-week-old in need, we would step up. But no, I don't want one. You can give me the 8-year-old instead.
I don't blame you. Housebreaking is probably the worst. He's pretty good for the most part, but he'll still pee. Like a couple weeks ago, he peed on my mom's bed twice.
Oh
no.
He was not happy. Yeah, it was bad. But anyways, thank y'all. Have a great night.
Thanks.
Bye.
I don't know. Their puppies are so much work. You are right, Jen.
I mean, they're so cute. But I know I'd go crazy.
I would get, I don't know, Chris, I would get another burner puppy or a golden puppy in a second. There's so much work, but oh my goodness.
You were sending me pictures of puppy 1, puppy 2, puppy 3. Which puppy do you like? Do you like male puppy number 5? You were sending me burner pictures of puppies. I picked one. I was like, yes, let's get this one. And then you were like, just kidding.
If I had said yes, we would have got a third dog, guys. That's how close it came. And that was a secret that Chris just let out. And what do you think we should have called it? Like Afterburner? That would have been cool.
That would have been funny. That would have been funny and cool. But it wasn't meant to be. Jason's like, just kidding. And
yeah.
I was like prepared. Like,
well, okay. With what happened this summer, that was for the best too. So that it was good we didn't decide it. In the future. We'll go to Debbie, then Becca, Melanie, and then the Golden Ratio Sports Center. So hi, Debbie.
Hi, thank you guys so much. I'm a super follower, Golden Ratio Foundation member, Patreon to Bunsen and Beaker, and other accounts. I love dog Twitter, and I just want to thank you all for what you do on your social media platforms. I have no idea how much time you have to do that, but great job. So, Jen, I recently lost my 14-and-a-half-year-old Golden Retriever, Yellow Lab. Lost him at the end of July. I made a donation in his honor to the Golden Ratio. I know he wasn't a true Golden, but he was half Golden. I cried for days after you guys lost Voodoo, and I still am crying about losing Linus. So this grief conversation is spot on. But my question is about older rescues, because again, this last conversation about puppies is spot on, because I don't know if I want to get another puppy. I got Linus as about a 14-week-old puppy, but puppies are a lot of work, and I'm not getting any younger. So my question is, in your experience, having brought in so many older dogs as well, and I know watching Nacho, watching the snaps and listening to all your podcasts about Nacho, and it seems like, he's integrated, but you're still working to make him feel comfortable. But in your experience, how long do you think it takes to get a dog to really decompress from a rescue? I would probably only get one dog. I live alone, and I think I could probably just deal with one dog. But what do you think, and what would I expect should I go and rescue, a slightly older dog?
Yeah, so, it's a great question. Nacho, it being 18 months, it really is still in full puppy mode.
Still a puppy.
Absolutely.
Hilarious puppy. Hilarious. I love Nacho so much. I live in Portland, Oregon, and I almost I was raising my hand to drive across country to get him to you guys.
Well, there are days where I might just tell him that we're going to send him out to you.
Oh my goodness.
So let's say you get a 3-year-old, right? Because then you've got a dog who's sort of settled into adulthood. We kind of break it down into 2 to 3 weeks for them to just kind of lose that initial, like, what the heck is going on? Where am I? My entire life has been turned upside down kind of thing. Where they, they'll occasionally have an accident. That's usually in the first 2 or 3 days.
Right.
Just be really freaked out. Once they get past those 2 or 3 days, then it's kind of 2 or 3 weeks of just learning to relax, and like you see their personality starts coming out a bit. And then it's way nicer, and you can start connecting with them. And then after about 2 or 3 months, they're kind of fully in with your household, and that's kind of how they're going to be. No, it varies. We've had some dogs, Remy, for example, took quite a bit longer than that to get integrated with everybody, but he came with so many problems, like from his background and health issues. Right. But for all the other dogs that we've had, like I said earlier, we fostered probably 25 in addition to the ones that we've adopted and you guys have seen as part of the ratio. 2 or 3 weeks, and they're just basically kind of like one of the household. And then you see a little more bonding after, I think, those 2 or 3 months. But that's the process. So it's actually, you make it through those couple weeks, and then you're kind of in there connected to them like they've been there a long time.
Yeah, I was following the tweets about there was a bonded pair that was, I think, in Key West.
Yeah.
And I was watching, I was waiting, wondering if you guys were gonna jump on that. And I was almost like, I'm flying to Key West and I'm driving 2 dogs. Because
I did apply to get those dogs, and I think we didn't hear back. And I think they were like, they already have 6. Like, why do they need another pair?
No, I agree. Goldens, yellow, Labs, Goldens, they're the best dog. I really miss my boy, I'm not quite ready yet, but I've only had puppies. I had one other dog before this. He was a chocolate lab that I got as a puppy, as a gift. And I really wasn't sure what to expect. So thank you guys for your time. And again, thank you both and all of the dog Twitter people for all you do, because if it wasn't for dog Twitter would be just a sewer that wasn't worth being. And you guys are all awesome. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. What a great question, comment. I love that. Yay.
So good.
All right, over to Becca and then Melanie and the Golden Ratio Sports Center. And Doc, if you've got some more time, we can get through all the questions. Are you okay for another 20, 30 minutes? Is that okay?
Yeah, totally.
Thank you so much. Everybody give Dr. Golbeck a round of applause or some heart emojis for going so much overtime to hit all of the questions. That means a lot to everybody here, because there's like 20 some odds people wanting to ask questions. So thank you for that. Okay. So, Becca, hi. Do you have a question for the doc?
Hi, I do. Oh my God. This crossover is like the thing I needed in my life. I'm the same way as Debbie, super following the ratio, donor, Patreon, all of that. And I love you guys. Seriously, the snaps are like my pre-bed routine. If I don't get them, I'm just like unsettled.
Oh, thank you.
So, and Jason, I get you about Banfield. That's a crazy little place.
Have you been to Banfield?
I'm a Banfield alum. I went to field school out there 2 summers during my undergrad. And if you saw the elephant seal skeleton, that's in the whale lab.
Yeah, in the whale lab.
Yes, I reconstructed those flippers.
You did not. That is so cool.
I did so. There was a whole lot of caulking involved to get those wrist bones to stick together.
Just quickly, that is a life-changing experience for the high school kids that I take to Benfield. Like, it changes their life. It's just... Okay, sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to derail.
Totally fine. It's one of my favorite places on earth.
Yeah.
But my question for you, Jen, where did Hopper's food dancing come from? It's so cute.
So for anybody who doesn't watch the snaps, like Venkman does like spin around, jump up and down, like big leaps into the air for her food every meal. She has done that since she was a puppy. Like, we brought her home and she was just like, dinner. Like, as soon as she was not chubby or so chubby that she couldn't get off the ground, which, golden puppies are always just like that, little potatoes. As soon as she had like the legs, she started jumping for it. It's just, it's her natural self. It's in her genes somewhere, I guess. And we love it so much.
Oh, I love that little hoppy hop thing too.
It's so cute. It is just pure joy. And I do have to say there were happy tears when you said Remy is doing okay and that his lymphoma is slow moving. So yeah,
we're quite relieved. Yeah. So we're kind of holding off till we get a little bit more info to like make the big announcement. But I'm glad you all get the preview that it looks like he's going to be okay for quite a while, which is great.
That's fantastic.
Breaking news: Remy's going to be okay for a while. We think.
Yeah. So thank you both for all you do, because seriously, like, especially with the pandemic, I moved cross country and started a new job literally the week the first lockdowns hit. And so being by myself in a city far away from all my friends and family, dog Twitter has been a bright spot in some very dark times. So thank you.
Oh, thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you. Well, we appreciate any of the people that follow Bunsen and Beaker. I think though everybody's has the greatest dogs in the world. Okay, over to Melanie, and then the Golden Ratio Sports Center. Okay, go ahead, Melanie.
Hi, Jen. Hi, Jason. Such a treat to hear the pet chat tonight. So, Jen, I have a question for you. Longtime fan, by the way. It's not about dogs. 3 parts. Has the 12-foot skeleton from the Home Depot arrived? What are you going to call it, and where are you going to put it?
I'm so excited. So the 12-foot skeleton from Home Depot is in Miami, and Inga went to Home Depot here in Key West today to get mulch, and they have them in stock in Key West. So I've been waiting for this thing for like 3 months, and he could have just gone to the store and bought one. But hopefully this week it will make its way from Miami down here to the Keys. We do not have a name picked out yet. And so please send suggestions, anybody, if you have them. And I think we're going to put the skeleton like hugging the elevator, which is like the outside corner of our house. So it'll be visible to people from the water. That's the current plan. But we're going to allow inspiration to guide us as we get it set up when it shows up next week, hopefully.
Well, that's so cool. Thank you for sharing your dogs with us. They're a delight.
Thank you.
They are a delight. Okay, over to the Golden Ratio Sports Center.
The Green Acres Women Equip podcast seeks to equip women with tools for everyday life. This week, Bob Goff joins us to share about becoming love. You can catch a glimpse of this episode here.
So to just say, like, who's God uniquely creating you to be? If we spend our time trying to be like somebody else, then we won't be the person that God made. That person will never show up.
Our conversation with Bob Goff will be released on October 5th. Join us every Wednesday for a new conversation with a different guest.
Hi. First of all, thank you for sharing your family with all of us, especially the Twitter fan accounts. And also for inspiring me to train for my first 5K with the Voodoo Challenge. My question was kind of inspired by my significant other, who's a huge Hopper T-Dog fan. And also starting grad school soon. And so I was wondering if you had some advice for a young person in academia balancing that with also being a young pet parent.
Oh, that's a good question. First, I'm a big fan of Golden Ratio Sports Center. So thank you for making this account that, like, even though it's stuff from my life, you make it funnier than it was to me the first time. So thank you. a thing about academia is that there's a myth around it, or a mythos around it, that it's like it should be like your passion and your whole reason for existing, and you are a scholar and your life is immersed in this kind of living community. And like, in one sense, like, I buy into that, right? Like, I have never left college since I went. I've stayed in the university the whole time, and I really love that kind of literary image of like the scholar in the ivory tower in these places. And I think it's great if you can find that. And I have found that a lot of the time in my life as an academic. At the same time, the university doesn't necessarily love you as much as you love it. And I have also learned that lesson a variety of times. And so I think it's important to really make sure you've got a section of your life that you don't allow your academic life to infiltrate, where it's, if it's, some people like to set aside like certain hours, like I'm not doing academic stuff in that time. That doesn't work for me. I kind of do my stuff all the time. But just to be like, it's okay for me to be like, aside from my academic work, I'm doing this thing with my dog, I'm working out, I'm whatever, like reading some fiction and like having a glass of wine or whatever you want to do. And make sure you don't feel guilty for not doing your academic work, because there can be that pressure where you should just do it all the time. And it's not healthy, and it's also not very productive. And I think if you keep those spaces really reserved for your dog time and your time with your partner and your time for your hobbies, you'll be fine as an academic, and you'll be way happier as a human.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. And if you're ever near Huntsville, there's a Mexican restaurant called Hops and Guac that might be fun to visit.
What? People have sent me pictures of Hops and Guac, and I 100% need to go just for the selfie.
That is so cool. I would love to take Bunsen and Beaker to Comic-Con, because there's always people that dress up as Bunsen and Beaker, the Muppets. That would be a cool photo. All right. Thanks. Okay. So we've got some new speakers up here. So let's go. Oh, Chris, I lost track of it. Oh, Kathy, and then we'll go Kathy and then Blanca, and then I'll figure it out after that.
Aloha, everyone. Yes, I'm still in Hawaii. Jen, I love your podcasts. The one you do, the Golden Ratio that you do with Ingo, the bonus podcasts you've been doing for supporters, the No Rules podcast, and you took on another one with Jen Coleslaw, the Agenda podcast, which I also adore. Do you really love doing podcasts, or do you find, okay, I have to do them because I'm committed to them?
I had better love them for how much we do them. No, I really love it. And, Kathy, I know you have been following us forever. So you probably remember that when we started doing the podcast, whatever, 260 episodes ago, Ingo was super resistant. I was like, let's do a podcast. And he is like, no, I don't want to do it. It's going to be stupid. And now he'll be like, it'll be like a Saturday night and we're hanging out on the couch. He's like, we should do a podcast. I was like, we don't have to do the podcast. We record the podcast on Wednesdays. He's like, we can do a bonus podcast then. Like, it's kind of become this kind of structured way for us to talk to each other. And, for anybody who listens, the podcasts are very kind of conversational, and it's just me reading stupid news stories to Ingo or whatever. It's us having a good time. And we do it on the podcast in a way where like, it's more fun to be like, let's record this and like tell all of our friends about it. So we have a great time, and it's sort of become like, oh, I've got like funny stuff to tell you, but let's do it on a podcast for us. And the podcast with Jen Coleslaw, who's a friend of the squad, is a similar kind of thing. We kind of come up with like a theme, right? We're going to talk about emus, and, we come up with silly stories to tell each other and then just do it. And it's just a way, like, it's kind of the only way as friends that we actually talk face to face. Like we text all the time, but we see each other over video and have those conversations on the podcast. So, I think anybody who likes doing that, like having that kind of fun banter with people that they like, why not have a podcast and have your friends listen? And even if it's only like a dozen people, they want to hear what you're saying, and it's pretty fun. Like, so I have a great time with it, and I'm glad that you guys like to listen.
I'll tell you, you're right. Ingo has come a long way. And his whole thing about, I love Administrative Corner. And when he doesn't say it, the fans go, is Ingo okay? Is everything all right? So it's wonderful. It's wonderful to hear, the interplay between the two of you. And I'm glad you enjoy it, because I would really miss them. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy.
I should mention, and we never got to it because we talked about it in the first interview we did. You have a main podcast with your husband, Ingo, your partner.
Yep.
Yes. Did I get that right?
So yes, that's right. So yeah,
Okay.
Ingo is my husband. And we have a podcast called the Golden Ratio Podcast, where we do, it's where we do like the really detailed updates on all of the dog health situation. Cause like whenever there's stuff going on, it doesn't fit in a tweet. So we kind of do all of that on there. And then we have, it's surrounded by all sorts of other, hopefully funny bits, where we do a cocktail of the week and kind of a weird news story from down here in the Keys, which is usually like somebody caught too many fish and got arrested for it. And Ingo, who is, born and raised in Germany, he does a German word of the week every week. So we get some kind of funny German vocabulary. So it's just kind of a fun thing for people who are, really interested in the lives of our dogs to join us for 40 minutes once a week and get some updates.
Okay. Kathy, thanks for the question. And we are still jealous that you're in Hawaii. Over to Blanca. And then after that, we'll have the last little bit of the speakers. So Blanca, go ahead.
Hi. My question was actually already answered, but I just wanted to say that I really do appreciate that grieving over a pet was discussed, because we just lost ours.
So sorry to hear that.
It's so hard, and he was our family member for 12 years. So it's like, of course he's family, and he might be a dog, but he was such an amazing little guy. He was 110 pounds, but we always called him a little guy.
Yeah.
And he used to check on us every night. He never slept during the complete night, because he would get up and check and make sure everybody was okay. He was that way right from the beginning. That was in him. And we were always his priority. And we've always had dogs, but none of them have been like him, where we were his priority, not the other way around. We were not here for him. He was here for us. And the pain that I feel is just so overwhelming. And so I just want to thank you for discussing this, because to me, it was losing a family member. He was my baby. So it's like, you feel the sadness and your routine that you used to do with him, because all our routine was revolved around him and making sure that we took him to get his exercise, because yes, they can be very destructive when they have a lot of energy. There's no way to burn it. And we like to say that he rescued us. His mom was rescued with her litter and a 9-month-old. So she had just been used to be bred, and we were not familiar with this breed. But we had a bull mastiff before him, which is, she was 175 pounds. So this is why he was called the little guy compared to her. And we always like to say that he rescued us, because he chose us when we went to see him, and he was so sickly and full of worms. And I carried him home all the way from LA. We live in Santa Barbara. And we had to keep on stopping because we just went to see him and we just couldn't leave him. So we had to keep on stopping at gas stations to get newspaper and all that. So he was a little survivor. He was very, very sick. And so throughout the years, my husband had a stroke, and he was the one that let us know. We would have gone to work and not realized it. And he was being stubborn, going to the door and scratching on the door until he made us understand that something was going on. So he was really, really an amazing little guy to us. So again, thank you so much for discussing the grief that we feel when we lose our four-legged friend, whether it's a cat or a dog or, whichever kind of animal it is. We love them just as much as any family member. So it is very, very hard when you lose them. Mm-hmm. So I just want to say thank you for discussing this, Jen. It's really how you guys do it when you guys lose one of yours. It's just beyond me.
Change can be uncomfortable, stressful, even downright frightening. But sometimes people push through the fear and face change head on. This podcast is about those people. Change agents who saw something no one else could see, believed in something others dismissed, and changed things for the better. I'm June Love Young, CEO of Zoom Communication. Welcome to A Change Mindset, a podcast by Zoom Communications.
I'm so sorry about your dog. I so feel you. Obviously, I mean, you've seen us go through this too. And, Jason, we haven't talked about this, but I just finished a book. Like, we just sent it to the publisher a couple weeks ago.
I knew this was in the works. Jen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're done writing it. So it'll be out next fall. So you'll have to wait a long time for it. But it's, it should be a big one. Like Simon & Schuster is publishing it. And it's about the bond that people have with their dogs and kind of the science of how that happens and all the benefits. So it's a really fun kind of popular science book with lots of stories from lots of Golden Ratio followers that they shared with us. So I think people are going to like it because if you love your dog, you want to have science tell you like why it's really good for you.
Hey, we do that every week.
Yeah. So I think even putting all that aside, the thing that I am kind of most proud of in the book is that we have 2 chapters, one on sort of living with a dog who's aging and approaching the end of their life, and how do you as the human who is responsible for taking care of them, like deal with that and make those decisions, and when do you know it's time to like say goodbye to them, and how do you assess their quality of life, and then another chapter on when you lose them, how do you deal with that grief and like what's normal and how is it going to affect you? And, we said this earlier in the space tonight that like, there's just not that much out there to support us and to walk us through that process as pet owners. And so we've kind of pulled together everything that there is with the best advice that we could think of into these couple chapters that I think are going to be such a resource because we answer tons of those kinds of questions in the DMs on the Golden Ratio, right? Like my dog is sick and how do I know when it's time? Or I just lost my dog and I can't breathe and I can't sleep and I can't eat because I'm so devastated. How long is this going to last? And what do I do to feel better? We've got our best advice in there. And I'm seeing people, I'm like, don't share this, but here's like a PDF of this part of this chapter. I kind of wrote this down. It's just such a hard thing. And I'm really sorry you're going through it. I wish there was something that could make it better, but nothing really does.
Thank you.
Blanca, I'm so sorry as well. I will tell you, I've never cried as hard in my entire life as when our family lost Callan, but time helps. And if you're able, having welcoming another dog into your house and loving it, that helps too. I don't know if that's what's in your book, Jen, but that's my advice.
It's great advice.
Yeah. Oh,
thank you both.
You bet. Take care. Okay, so we've got a few speakers left. We'll go Amanda, Ray is an IBM, and then Lisa. These will be our last three speakers because we're approaching 2 hours now.
Well, hey, Jason. Hey, Chris.
Hello.
And hi, how are you? It's so good to meet you, Jen. I've been following Nacho, not knowing who he was. And you know how Twitter only lets you follow like a certain number of people until you reach a certain level? And I have to go through and unfollow so I can follow someone else. And every time I pass Nacho, I'm like, but not Nacho. Nacho stays. But I'm so glad we're having this discussion. I used to work at the Humane Society of Missouri, and I took in the office cat who had feline leukemia, so they couldn't adopt her out. Hody was amazing, but she ended up succumbing to that feline leukemia, and I was heartbroken, like I've never been. But it makes me wonder, and I've gotten questions related to this from others. What resources are available to pet owners when they know they need pet hospice or they need bereavement for that? What resources are out there for them?
Yeah, it's such a good question. Like, not a ton, right? Like, you're just kind of on your own with so much of this. So, I'll say a thing that has been really helpful to us, that we've been really fortunate, is like finding a vet that we really click with. It took us, I was really lucky to find one when I lived in Maryland. And when I moved up there, I would drive like 45 minutes to get to that vet because he understood me and what I would do for my dogs. And when I knew it was time for them. When one of my previous dogs, like before the squad, my dog Kay, I had been overseas and she was staying with my mom in Chicago, and I'd be calling and I'd be like, "Hey, how is Kay doing?" And Mom's like, "Well, she's having kind of a hard time." And I got home and she picked me up at the airport. I was like, "It's really bad, isn't it?" She's like, "Yeah, it's totally time." And I was like, I can't just like take this dog to a vet that I don't know, in a place I don't live. I have to get her back to my vet. And I called them up and I was like, I need to bring her back and I need her to be okay. And they just prescribed me everything. Like I must have had 20 different medications just to keep that dog comfortable. They didn't know what was wrong, but they're just like prednisone, painkillers, everything. So we could make her comfortable. And they did that with my dog Pi. I was like, I need a couple days. And they're like, all of these medicines, she'll feel okay. And they've also been like, it's time for this dog, like, I know that you want to do what's best for them. And this is what's best. And, I think if you're lucky enough to have a vet and frankly, do the work, right, to find a vet who understands you and your relationship and what you want for your dog, who's going to be honest with you, they will be willing to like tell you really, here's what the situation is, to give you the medicine, to allow you to have what you need, and also to kind of give you the talking to if you need it, to be like, it's time and you love this dog and you want better for them than to, make them endure something that they don't want to. But if you don't have that, it's really hard to find those sorts of resources. There's not a nice network of like pet hospices that are out there. And it's sad, like the hospice cases we've taken in are people who are just like, I don't know how to deal with this dog dying. And so I'm giving them away. Like how sad for that dog, that their life is upended at the really last part. We're of course happy to take them in, but it's like, universally a kind of sad situation that they would have to go through that.
Thank you so much.
Amanda, thank you for being here tonight. Amanda is if you don't know, Amanda is a great champion for long COVID sufferers. So Amanda on her own is doing great work for people who have COVID. I just like to announce real quick that we do have 3 prizes tonight from our sponsor, barkandbeyondsupply.com. And to be eligible for the prizes, you have to have retweeted the space and be following one of us. I already did a draw, and I've checked on a couple people, and they didn't meet the criteria. So I'll give you some time if you'd like to win the prizes from barkandbeyondsupply.com. Remember, you have to be following barkandbeyondsupply.com or Bunsen or the Golden Ratio and have retweeted the space. So that was kind of the minimum criteria to apply for the prize. Okay, so we'll go to Ray as an IBM, and then after Ray, I'm going to do one of the draws. Go ahead, Ray.
Hi there. Hi. Sorry, I'm walking Poppy, who Jen knows about, and the dogs are having the neighborhood dogs are barking. I would say greetings from Northern California, where it's smoky and had been 47 degrees this week. My question was taken earlier. Sierra asked, but I did come up with something else, and then I have a second quick question. But the first one is, when you started the Twitter account back in the dark days of late 2016, did you expect this family to rise up to such a point where, we have the foundation, which has raised a lot of money to help dogs in need, and then also for the plushie, 110 plus people bought plushies to give to those who couldn't afford it, which I expect would be like a lot of college students. I know we've got a lot of followings from there. But did you even think that was a possibility?
No. Oh my gosh. Because I had a Twitter account for Hopper, when it was just her, and she had 3,000 followers, and I felt very accomplished with that. And Vinkman had one, and she maybe had 1,500 followers. And so at the time that we started the account, just after the 2016 U.S. presidential election, when everybody was angry on the internet, and we wanted a little safe corner. We had 4 dogs then. We had just taken in Maggie and Jasmine, and I was like, well, we'll maybe move Hopper's followers over here. Maybe we'll get a few more. I had no idea it would grow into something this big, or that we would be able to do all of this amazing stuff. I mean, taking care of these dogs who are very expensive. Voodoo, who we lost in May, had epilepsy, and he would have to be, inpatient at the neurology hospital for days at a time. His vet bills for a year were $60,000. I mean, we're very fortunate that we could pay for that. And now, we ended up setting up a foundation because so many people who follow the dogs wanted to help them, and we felt like we can't just take people's money.
Sorry.
But now we have a kind of formal way to do it. But the way that the community helps each other too, Ray, like you said, we have a lot of people who couldn't afford the plushies, and just dozens of people stepped up and were like, I'll anonymously buy one for somebody else. And it's just this beautiful community. It has been a lot of work to kind of block out all of the negative voices that try to creep in. So we've curated it and put a lot of time into that, but we had no idea it would become something this big and positive. And it's pretty amazing. We marvel at it a lot, and how lucky we are that there's all these great people online who have kind of come into our life and really brought a lot of positivity to it.
Yeah, thank you. And so my second fun question is, how many Knusper Flakes chocolate bars are left?
Ray sent us a box of chocolate bars. I know Ingo cracked one open today, so he's been having a very good time with those. I think they're probably half gone.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks for the chocolate too.
You're welcome.
Perfect. Well, I've done 2 draws. I lied. I did 2 draws because it takes a bit in the back end to find if the categories have been met. So the 2 winners, we've got 3 prizes. The first winner is at Amy L. Roan. Amy Roan is double boosted. I've sent you a message. Please contact barkandbeyondsupply.com for the first prize. And the second winner is at Toman60. You've won the second prize. Contact barkandbeyondsupply.com. Okay, we'll go to Lisa, and that is the last speaker that we'll take today before the wrap up. I know there are a couple more speakers. You could potentially put your question in the nest, and then maybe I can send that to Jen. Lisa, go ahead.
Hi, good evening, everybody. First of all, Jason and Chris, thank you for hosting such a wonderful Saturday night. It's great to listen to everybody's stories. I love Bunsen and Beaker. Friday texts give me a huge smile. I love seeing the different personalities. Dr. Jen, I have been a big fan of the Golden Ratio for a long time, and I want to thank you for what you do for these beautiful dogs. Your snaps are definitely one of the highlights of my day, and please tell Remy that I love him so much and I want him to be better.
I will.
My question for you is, out of all the angel dogs that you have, which angel dog do you miss the most and why?
See, I'm supposed to hesitate when I answer this question, but it's absolutely Maggie and Riley. Like, they are tied. Maggie was she's sort of one of the 2 dogs that we got as a bonded pair who turned us from Hopper and Bankman into the Golden Ratio. And she and I just connected in a really special way. And then Riley, who was our first boy, like both of them, like from the moment they showed up, it just felt like they had lived with me their whole life. And we were like instantly connected, not just me to them, but like them to me. They were like, oh, I found my human and it's Jen. And I'm like, my dog, I love you so much. And they're the first 2 that we lost, actually. We lost Maggie in April of 2017. Well, it doesn't matter. We lost Maggie in April and then Riley in October of the same year. And it just broke me. Like my 2 like heart dogs who I've connected with more than anybody else, to lose them like back to back within 6 months like that. I miss them the most. I still think about them and wish I could have them with me. They're so good.
They were good. Thank you. And, Riley looked at you, you might not.
Oh, we lost your audio, Lisa. Might have to give her a second to come back. Oh, she's gone. Well, that was a good comment to end on. So as we wrap up, Jen, thank you so much for being the guest tonight on PetChat. I don't want to keep you any longer. This is a 2-hour space. And I think I told you it'd be about an hour. So from all of us and the Bunsen and Beaker family to your family at the Golden Ratio, thank you for what you do for dogs. Thank you for giving up your time to talk to everybody about the dogs and yourself, and for all of the stuff that you do. Outside of that, your podcasts, your running, you're an inspiration, and thank you for being our guest tonight.
Thank you so much. I had a great time.
You're welcome back anytime, of course. And if you ever want to come on the Science Podcast, the invitation's always open.
Thanks.
So if you're not following the Golden Ratio, please check them out. Give them a follow. I'd like to announce that the third person that won a prize is Shayna. I've already contacted you. That's the third prize from Bark and Beyond, Shayna O'Connell. Some big news. If you take a look at the nest, some really big news. Speaking of text from Bunsen. Every Friday, I write jokes about Bunsen texting people in the family. Chris and I have worked really hard all summer, and Text from Bunsen is ready to go for the public. Some folks have pre-ordered it, about 100 people, and they are laughing their butts off. They love it so much. In the Nest and on our account, and we'll be talking about it lots over the next week. Text from Bunsen is ready to go, and bundled with it, if you'd like, it'll be ready by the end of September, early October, is the ebook, is the audiobook that was going to go with the ebook. So very excited to announce that. It's ready to go right now. Thank you so much for waiting. Chris, thank you for working on that with me all summer. I couldn't have done it without your help.
The pleasure was all mine. I got to laugh again every day.
So we're
every day.
Yeah, we're really excited about Text from Bunsen. Super, super excited. One more thing I'm just going to throw up in the Nest too.
Jason, did you see I put turtles in the nest? Not our turtles. Someone else put the picture of their turtles in the chat, and
What?
I definitely put that in the nest.
I didn't see it. I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to go through the Nest and everybody's comments to see what's going on with that. Our partner, Indra Bartona, has running a space as well, another audio chat. She does a really good job with positivity, mindfulness, and I have a link up there for Indra. And again, check out the Text from Bunsen. The link is on our website. So Chris and I think we have to go. Oh, Joseline's talking. Sorry, Joseline. I saw you there. Joseline is the amazing man who put together the tech for the website. Joseline, thank you so much. It looks awesome. I don't know if you want to...
Well, thank you. It was a super pleasure to put all the tech together to unite the community, both virtually, physically, all those types of things. I was working in the back end, making sure everything was... working the way it should. Tech doesn't always go the right way, but, that's why I was silent for the majority of the space. But yeah, so go check it out. And I did want to give a teaser of what's to come, because there's a bunch of different things. Jason just mentioned the audiobook. There's still Beaker stuffies that's available, Bunsen 2.0 stuffies. We have the Paw Pack Plus community that's going to be announced to the Patreon people. That community coming up in the following week. Halloween specials, Black Friday, holiday gifts, the 2023 calendars happening. And there's the next logical thing for the Text from Bunsen. And
I forgot to mention that.
There was a big teaser. I don't know if we want to talk about it now.
Let's do it. It's so cool.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
Do you want to,
or do you want me to say?
So,
I don't know. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Maybe Chris should say it. I don't know. This is so amazing. So the next logical thing would be what for Text from Bunsen? What about actually getting a text from Bunsen? So we're working on a way for you to get the actual text messages sent to your phone. So you don't have to wait for Twitter and you get it directly sent. So we're working on some technological magic to make that happen, in addition to some other surprises that we got going on. So stay tuned. It's just the beginning. The end of this year is going to be filled of phenomenal things. The community, Chris has put some amazing content in the community already.
Yeah, it's so good.
So yeah, there's a lot of things happening. So all I can say is just stay tuned and you'll be delighted.
Yeah, thanks.
So thank you for appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, Joseline. Our patrons, the Paw Pack Plus, the Paw Pack, probably next week. I think Joseline will be ready to roll it out for the patrons. It's the community is almost ready to go. We're just working on some things in the back end. There's so much there. It is so cool. It's got science. It's got science experiments, deep dives in science. It's got links to the amazing trainers. It's got articles on training your pets. It's got the community page. It's got Moose Soup for the Soul, where we're going to be sharing the best stories about dogs, that Chris and I are going to be compiling into a book, and all of the proceeds will be going towards shelters. So like the stuff on the community, I'm really excited for that to launch, and the patrons will get first look at it as we move over.
Yeah, it has science, empathy, and cuteness.
It does.
All in one spot.
It does. Oh, and live streams of the dogs. I figured out how to live stream Bunsen and Beaker and Ginger to the community. So I had fun all Friday with them with my class, because we have our Furbo set up right beside the webcam, so I can call them and they come over and get treats. And my whole class was like, "Can we please just watch them all day long and not do chemistry?" I was like, "No, this is chemistry class. We look at dogs for a bit and then we do chemistry." So that's going to be a perk to the community members. Sorry, Joseline, you were saying?
Oh, no, I was just saying we did that test, and I just remember just saying Bunsen's name, and Bunsen looked. I'm like, "Oh, my God, that was magical." And there's like, and I'm like, Ginger looked. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was to experience that, and there's going to be sections on training, all kind of different aspects. All the podcasts, I'm working to have them all there in one central location, so that you could actually comment and don't have to deal with trolls and all that kind of stuff. So it's a private community, safe space, so people for the community to unite. So I'm super excited to be working on this, because it's super awesome.
I am. Yeah. Okay. I think we'll wrap stuff up. Check out Indra's space, our partners, space Indra. Great spaces, gives you a boost during the week. And then, of course, if you love text from Bunsen, the ebook is ready, and it is so much more than just text from Bunsen. It's got so much science, empathy, and cuteness in it. I think we'll leave it at that. Okay.
And moose facts.
And moose facts, yes. I love writing the moose facts that's in the ebook. Yeah, there's moose facts. All right, as we wrap up, thank you so much for coming to the space. I know Jen is gone. Gosh, what they do for golden retrievers, isn't it just astounding?
100%.
Oh my goodness.
Like
It's
over
just
and above and beyond, unbelievable and awesome.
Yeah, Jen and Ingo are just the best people. And we were just it was so awesome that they came to talk in PetChat. Every Saturday, if you've never been, we do PetChat, and it's more of this, but there's more community sharing, and we tell stories about Bunsen and Beaker. I am going to try once a month to have a guest. So sometime in September, I'm hoping to have another pet parent guest. Okay, we got to get going. It's 8:00. Thank you so much for being here tonight. This Tuesday, we have Dr. Ketki Gonti, who's going to be our guest on our science chat space. We do science on Tuesday, pets on Saturday. Dr. Ketki Gonti is an influenza expert. So we're going to talk about viruses. Ooh, I know we've just been through a pandemic, but we're not going to talk about that the whole time. Okay. Take care, everybody. Be well, be kind. For science, empathy, and cuteness, Pet Chat is done. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.